Okay, so here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final webinar in our summer webinar series, The Rising Threat of AI. Today's topic is all about deepfakes. So we'll be unmasking deepfakes and seeing when digital deception becomes the new reality. Have a great presentation in store for you today. Before we start, I just want to walk you through just a few housekeeping rules. So although your audio is muted, you can ask questions at any time throughout the webinar using the Q&A tab in the Zoom, on the Zoom menu in the Zoom application, which you are currently viewing. Just note this webinar will be recorded and we will be sending you an email following the webinar with the recording itself. And if you do have any issues, either technical or otherwise throughout the presentation, please make sure to contact us through the chat icon, again, also in the Zoom applications. And at the end of the session, we're going to have a Q&A. So, of course, just make sure to ask whatever it is, whenever you want. In case you missed our first two webinars in the series, which we had yesterday and the day before, just note both of these webinars should already be available on the KELA website. So following this webinar, you can go ahead and view these webinars on demand as well. So with that, let me first quickly present myself and our speaker for today. So hold on, let me just make sure Irina's video is open. Irina, can you start your video? Here we go. Great. So hi, Irina. So first of all, maybe just a word about myself very quickly. My name is Amir. I head up the product marketing here at KELA. Quite a few years within the industry. I don't want to dive too deep about myself because actually today it's all about Irina, our Chief Research Officer. So Irina, can you please go ahead and present yourself. I'll make sure to unmute you. Just a second. Here we go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar hosted by me. I'm the Chief Research Officer at KELA. I've been with the company for over 9 years now, leading all types of research activities here. So happy to include you today in our talk about deepfakes.
Great. So I'll quickly soon hand over to Irina. Maybe just want to say one word about KELA. If you're not familiar with KELA, we are, in essence, an external threat intelligence company, basically driving intelligence across various security areas. Basically, our solutions, our systems monitor the open, deep, dark, and private web for illicit activities within cybercrime areas. So this includes criminal telegram groups, cyber communities, illicit marketplaces, and other areas where we gather all of the information into our comprehensive cyber intelligence platform and generate insights to various verticals for various use cases, including cyber threat intelligence, third-party intelligence. We provide solutions for law enforcement, fraud prevention, and others. And also, most recently, if you didn't catch yesterday's webinar, you can look at it on demand. We went through our new automated Gen AI security solutions, which is also part of our offering. But as Irina mentions, today is all about deepfakes. So Irina, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Amir. So hi again. As mentioned, my name is Irina, and I lead the research team here at KELA. Today, we're going to talk about deepfake, which is an artificial kind of media created by deep machine learning algorithms, or AI, as we all use it. It's actually one of the biggest manifestations of it. And the reason we're here today is because deepfakes are used increasingly, not only in funny social media posts, if anyone's seen the Keanu Reeves doing funny things videos, but in actual real life crime. And just a recent example that many of you probably heard about is this one on the screen. A cybersecurity awareness firm, nothing less, hired a fake software engineer. True, it wasn't only a picture that was fake, as can be implied from this screenshot, but it was much more elaborate. But this is a real life use case for deepfake media. The company's full account was this. know before needed a software engineer for our internal IT AI team. Our HR team conducted 4 video conference-based interviews on separate occasions, confirming the individual matched the photo provided on their application. Additionally, a background check and all other standard pre-hiring checks were performed and came back clear due to the stolen identity being used. This was the real person using a valid but stolen US-based identity, and the picture was AI enhanced. So obviously, doing a video conference with the person who taped themselves into an application will work, but essentially this was a North Korean actor who tried to download malware later on, and this is how they caught him. Now that we've set the tone, let's specify what is deepfake and what kinds exist. Please note that just fake news is not considered deepfake. Someone spreading misinformation using old pictures is not considered deepfake. Deepfake pictures are partially modified or entirely fabricated images that can involve face swapping, enhanced photos aimed at creating a misleading representation of the original content. For example, it could be a photo showing a politician in a compromising situation that has never occurred, and this photo could be used to spread rumors and disinformation, which could damage the victim's reputation and career. Next up, deepfake videos are videos where any of the physical aspects of the person, face, body, or voice are altered to portray them saying or doing things they never did, or to create an entirely fake content. A deepfake video may show, for example, a news anchor presenting false information as news content with the purpose of influencing public opinion and possibly creating social unrest or attempting to sway political elections. And finally, deepfake audio is audio content that imitates an individual's voice to make statements that never were made, often with the use of AI's ability to analyze and replicate someone's vocal patterns. It can also involve the creation of entirely fake content. And this type of AI-generated content could be used in social engineering scams, fraudulent activities, and we actually see it being used increasingly in recent years for fraud, social engineering, and disinformation and influence campaigns. Now, what we did, we took a look at the demand and supply of deepfake in various cybercriminal platforms, and this presentation is essentially the result of our research. Now, to the question of why would someone do that? We will cover all of these topics that you see on the screen, but as a teaser, to make money or influence someone to make money for you or as a political issue. If we're talking about cybercrime, then usually it's about making money, so most of what you see on the screen will be used for that. And after we explain the basics, let's dive into something more specific. As a CTI company with a focus on cybercrime, we wanted to understand what our cybercriminals offer when it comes to AI. Deepfakes are a hot topic in cybercrime forums. Many threat actors turn to underground hacking communities to learn, share tools, and advertise their deepfake services. We have observed a large number of discussions revolving around this topic, and according to our research, the discussions can be considered to concentrate around 3 main items. Deepfake services, and we will show examples for each one of those. Deepfake services is essentially when threat actors, offer their services for a fee on those forums and Telegram channels. Any user who wishes to utilize deepfake content but doesn't have the technical knowledge or the required tools may turn to these vendors and get AI-generated content in a matter of hours or even minutes. Next is deepfake methods. We've seen cybercriminals share methods on how to bypass authentication processes using deepfake content and provide detailed step-by-step guides on how to create the pictures and videos and how to abuse the AI-generated materials to authenticate to online accounts on various platforms. And finally, deepfake tools. Well, what we would be interested to see is if cybercriminals create their own tools. What we mostly saw is cybercriminals discussing abusing legitimate tools and to create deepfake content to be exploited by cybercriminals for fraudulent purposes, from creating an account under false identities to unlocking stolen accounts and so on. And to exemplify what we talk about is we're going to show several examples. So for deepfake services, what you can see here on the screen is an actor on the cracking hacking forum, actually offering his deepfake services verbatim. He offers this to create self-verification from a photo picture that a person will provide to them. And they also say that they are using it themselves for the purposes of self-verification that is sometimes used by various online platforms to verify an identity of a person. If we're talking about methods, here as well, something related to online accounts. This is a method to actually bypass know your customer procedures that are established by various financial platforms to make sure that they identify the person, that the person is a legitimate owner of a specific account and so on. And this is actually a method describing how to use several softwares to create deepfake media in order to be used in KYC processes. So this is, you can see, this is in English, very clear, really very understandable. And the third example is deepfake tools. So as we mentioned, we did not find a lot of original tools, but here we also see a very detailed method by an actor named Blackie, how to create detailed deepfake content using Deepface Lab, which is a legitimate AI generation or deepfake generation tool with the technical steps, with everything you need. So a person doesn't really need to know anything before going into those cybercrime forums. He just needs to search for the right information. And now we pretty much covered this part, but still, how are those deepfakes actually used? Now, from the bits and pieces that we already planted, you could understand that deepfake technology can be exploited by cybercriminals to improve their ability to defraud banks, e-commerce, and other online platforms. Deloitte have predicted that Gen AI could enable fraud losses to reach $40 billion in the United States by 2027, from a mere 12 billion in 2023, which ranks as a 32% annual growth. In our monitored sources, we observed threat actors leveraging deepfake technology for financial gain in several ways that you can see on the screen and in the following examples. So to create or breach online accounts, we already touched on that a bit, but we have seen actors using deepfakes to create online accounts for financial services under a false identity, or to use deepfakes to break into someone else's account. Some threat actors advertise their services to unlock any kind of online accounts, bypass anti-money laundering processes, KYC, as already mentioned, just in exchange for a fee of the amount gained by the person. And in the example on the screen, you can see a post featuring both Russian and English text, where a person or threat actors are actually offering services to unlock accounts using deepfake. They are mentioning that they have already worked with Binance and Crypto.com, Wise, and other financial platforms. And if we're talking about cryptocurrency, crypto platforms have always been an interest to many cyber criminals to use due to the anonymity they provide. However, they're increasingly regulated, and threat actors use cybercrime forums to discuss how to bypass regulations to register to those platforms. In this example, a user recommends a specific cryptocurrency platform that they use to buy stocks. And since a KYC need to be passed, the actors suggest turning to forum users who offer deepfake services to essentially create a verifiable persona to gain access to this crypto platform. And this example actually shows that the use of deepfake services has really become common, and threat actors provide them can easily be found amongst cyber criminal communities. The next way of using this for financial gain of sorts is job verification. And while on the right you can see the example we already discussed, on the left we have an actual user of a threat forum, of cybercrime forum, outlining how he used a deepfake tool to show that he could speak a language and get the job. So a language he doesn't really speak, for a job that required knowing a specific language using a deepfake AI tool for audio, for translating languages and applying it to video. And again, your real case that we've seen earlier. And finally, social engineering, which can be tied to the previous example. And what we have seen is that actors are actually discussing the case that you might have heard of on the top right. A British engineering group, Arup, lost approximately $25 million after scammers used AI-manipulated deepfakes to falsely pose as the group's CFO and request transfer from an employee to bank accounts in Hong Kong. According to the police, a staff member actually received a message claiming to be from the CFO of Arup based in the UK regarding a confidential transaction. This is a usual BEC trick. And following that, the employee actually went into a video conference with a fake CFO, AI-generated, and other AI-generated employees. And then afterwards, he made a number of transactions to 5 different Hong Kong bank accounts, again, approximately amounting to $25 million before they discovered it. And while in the cybercriminal sources we cover, we have not seen active discussions on who did what, but definitely many of those services can be used to social engineering attacks. You can see on the screen a person who offers to create any kind of of a person, AI-generated persona, and so on. Now, the use of digitally altered images or memes to illustrate a narrative or spread rumors was common long before the emergence of deepfakes. Misinformation has always been a feature of political campaigns. But disinformation campaigns that were designed to mislead and manipulate public perception have the potential to gain unprecedented potency through deepfakes. Unlike traditional forms of disinformation, the ones leveraging deepfakes can create a visceral, convincing alternate reality. The technological leap challenges our ability to discern truth from fiction and has significant implications for politics, media, society at large. While online disinformation operations are often conducted by advanced and nation-state actors who are less visible in cybercrime communities, they are often observed using similar tools to those shared and sold in these communities, and we will review a couple of those influence campaigns using deepfakes. In January 2024, Taiwanese elections took place, and audio clips of a former candidate who stepped out of a campaign were detected. In those clips, he was heard endorsing another candidate when he actually was not definitely doing so in reality. An actor linked to the Chinese Communist Party named Dragon Breach was tied to this campaign. And once it happened, the subsequent videos with his voice were actually deleted by YouTube, so it was identified as an influence campaign. Just one example out of those detected ahead of the upcoming US elections is from the X, or formerly known as Twitter, account of Florida-based conservative radio show host Mark Kaye. This image created the impression that the Black community supports Donald Trump. It was reported as a deepfake soon after Kaye posted it. And while he claimed that he had never said it was accurate and that a mere photo shouldn't be enough to influence someone's voting intention, we do know how images can catch fire, and those kinds of things can spread without the proper context and influence opinions. To something very current, very recent, influence actors linked to the Russian government, known as Storm 1679 and Storm 1099, were seen engaging in operations meant to discredit the International Olympic Committee with the goal of making people scared to attend the event. Some noteworthy activity connected to Storm 1679 included sharing a deepfake Netflix documentary titled Olympics Has Fallen, which featured an AI-generated voice of American actor Tom Cruise. And more recently, the actors have been seen promoting another fake documentary called Olympics Has Fallen 2, this time using deepfake audio content featuring Elon Musk. Despite rapid advances in AI technology and its increasing accessibility, convincing deepfakes aren't necessarily the ones that have the highest impact. Some deepfakes are meant to deceive, but AI is also often abused to generate engaging content to promote one's broader narrative, like with memes or other forms of media disseminated online. This other category of deepfake feeds disinformation campaigns because even though it often fails to convince, it conveys a message in a compelling way. Moreover, it makes you doubt and sometimes even disregard real information when you see it, as much as you think that everything is fake. And researchers have identified at least one such example in the plethora of disinformation surrounding the Israel-Hamas conflict. The image depicted on the screen was posted by several Twitter accounts and shows football fans displaying the Palestinian flag. The poor quality of the image and the distortions of the bodies clearly indicate that the image isn't authentic, and yet the post was viewed almost 2 million times, reshared over 10,000, and generated over 900 comments. And even though people were already aware that it wasn't authentic, it was still reshared because it aligned with a specific message and a specific theme. Now that we've covered the threats, let's talk about what you can do to protect from a deepfake attack or from failing or falling for deepfakes. Essentially, first of all, the most on the surface thing is how to identify that a deepfake image, video, or audio are essentially deepfakes. In images, inconsistent blinking, because deepfakes are often failing to replicate natural blinking patterns. Facial symmetry, our faces are not symmetrical, but AI-generated images will be more symmetrical. Unnatural facial movements, irregular skin texture and color, mismatching lighting and shadows, eye reflections that are inconsistent with how reflections work, artifacts and blurring, edge blurring on images, as in the previous picture. Mismatch of voice and audio can indicate an audio that was implanted, and sometimes background inconsistencies. The background can move in a different way, or it will be countered differently. If we're talking about protecting yourself as an organization, there are several things that you can do to make sure that even if you are receiving a deepfake, you can protect yourself from the impact. First, add a layer of verification to the messages, to the mails that you receive, especially when a video or audio-based authentication is involved in business processes. Second, clarify verification protocols for payment requests. Make sure that there's something else to show for or to ask for when your CFO asks for an unusual transfer. Develop detailed incident response and business continuity plans to counter data breaches. God forbid something did happen to you, make sure you know how to engage further and how to work after that. Conduct routine cybersecurity trainings for employees. People are still the most valuable and the most easy, let's say, entry point. Make sure they know how to identify the risks. Finally, monitor for development of actors' TTPs to make sure you're aware of ongoing schemes and threats, just in our sources, what else people are talking about. Finally, as an individual, to protect yourself from either influence of deepfakes or something else, several things can be done. First, trust but verify. Cross-check information with reliable sources, either before believing it or, most important, before you share it further. Cross-check the identity of the people who contact you through digital media. There have been a lot of campaigns by North Korean actors who have reached out with fake job offerings and so on in order to trick people into downloading malware and creating bigger campaigns. And finally, to prevent account fraud, be cautious about the personal details that you share. Enable multi-factor authentication on all your accounts. Create strong and unique passwords. This way, you will at least ensure that no one can steal your accounts and impersonate you in order to threaten or in order to compromise other people. All right. We have covered briefly what threats are posed by deepfake media, and we have some time for Q&A, which we received from you, and I will give, if
Yeah.
Amir has anything to comment, I will let him do
No,
that.
of course, not the comments, just there. While you were, first of all, thanks again, Irina, for this great presentation. And while you were talking, actually, we did have a few questions come in, and we do have time for two or three, perhaps. So let me start with the first question I have here. This one specifically asking, what have you seen cybercrime actors are interested in the most?
Great question. Unfortunately, this is people, and many of them are men. So porn and other types of deepfake videos. A lot of discussions around new tools that enable you to create any kind of video, any kind of image. So that was surrounding it. But we were surprised to see how many discussions the social engineering incident has garnered.
Okay. Good. See, there's another question, actually, something we didn't talk a lot about regarding audio recordings.
Mhm.
The question is, how can I verify that an audio recording is in fact authentic?
Good question. So from while we're not providers of such of such verification, we did notice and we did see that there are some emerging technologies that are attempting to battle the rise in deepfakes. For example, technology exists to watermark, although watermark is for images, but let's say this is the term, to watermark audio files through the process of embedding information in the audio signal that acts as a signature. And that can be used to verify the authenticity of the audio content. It's not something you can hear, but you can't embed it without actually affecting the audio quality. So that's kind of one of the checks that exist, and definitely audio could be more compelling to do so.
Okay. Let me move on to at least one more questions, maybe two. Okay, well, this is probably due to the fact we didn't talk about this a lot in the presentation, but as we are a CTI company, the question here is, how do CTI solutions help with basically with combating deepfakes in general?
Great question. So while not a lot of straightforward CTI solutions will be able to detect, there are a lot of things that can be done to mitigate the threat or to prevent account takeover, for example. So in the, again, God forbid case, an employee was already tricked, for example, it can be helpful, of course, to have solutions to guard or detect unusual activity. Unfortunately, many times, as in the case of KnowBe4, it will be kind of as the person starts doing their stuff, but still it's useful. In addition, as I mentioned before, tracking threat actors, so companies such as ours that can provide visibility into the cybercrime underground to understand what kind of emerging technologies actors are talking about, meaning those can be used in the future. And finally, to prevent account takeover, you should monitor definitely for your organization's exposure into underground. So accounts that were already exposed, valid accounts, especially that have led to so many attacks worldwide, and definitely can be used for further impersonation of your CFO if his account is actually a legitimate one from which emails are sent. So definitely you can monitor and mitigate that before it becomes a tool at the hands of attackers.
Okay, great. So thank you very much, Irina. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions now. We will try perhaps, we've got all, I did see additional questions come in. I will try to answer those by email. So first of all, thank you all for joining us today, and thank you again, Irina. Maybe just to end with a very quick heads up, this basically finalizes our AI webinar series, which we've had in the past week. So first of all, for those of you heading out to holidays in August, please enjoy that. And maybe just a quick heads up, just right following the holidays, sometime between September and October, we should have our next webinar series, which will be all about info stealers. So keep your eyes open for that. And regarding the webinars that we had, again, probably Monday morning, all of the webinars, including this one as well, perhaps even before, will be available on our website on demand, and you'll receive emails regarding that. So with that, I'm going to close. So thanks again, everyone.